Well, namaskar, good evening, hello, and welcome to GLIBTALK. GLIBTALK 4.1 में आप सबका बहुत स्वागत है. Well, today is Sunday as usual. My name is Simrat Ghosh. I'm going to be host for the evening. And GLIBTALK, as you all know, it's been happening for quite some time. For since I mean from the month of May till date. Every Sunday we have an distinguished personality who's coming in our show to make GLIBTALK even more successful. Well, I'm a former radio jockey with 93.5 Red FM way back 10 years, and Clip Talk I have started during the pandemic time, where learning about an individual's life and about their journey, about their successes, about their failures, apparently gives us a lot of insight about how an individual has made their mark in their life. Well, as you all know, Glib means easy, Glib means often thoughtlessly. We are one small initiative who is aspiring to be a big banyan tree from a small sapling somebody another one day. Well, this is our opportunity where we say that it's an interview of a face and a great mind. And when we say it's a known face and a great mind, apparently it is not about celebrities, not about taking their interviews and learning about their journey and their life. Because everyone knows about their life, about their successes, about failures, all about. But knowing about a commoner's life apparently is something very exceptional. Well, we have a distinguished personality who is going to be my guest for the evening. He's already joined us live from Mumbai. Glib Talk is not any masterclass. It's not any webinar. There is no serious conversation. However, this is the hottest talk show of the nation at this particular moment. Well, what do I say about him? He is one eminent personality who has been making and leaving his footprint, being an indelible archiver. He is a man with a distinguished personality, has been awarded with many awards for his noble contribution towards society. He's Asia's one of the first master coaches and international speaker. Having over decades of work experience, he apparently left his comfortable job being a banker, went to set up his own company in the year 2004. He actually established the first organization named People's First, which is one of the fastest and the first growing executive coaching and the OD firms there in India and in the Middle East. He has also founded the organization called the Next Milestone Technologies. He is a true demeanor. His candor, his cadence, his camaraderie apparently made him the man he is today. Well, I would like to give more introduction about him, but before we get started, it is our sincere request that there are two beautiful WhatsApp groups where there are more than 300 people are there in the Clip Talk Initiative group. There are two pages. One is Instagram and one is Facebook. If you guys really appreciate Clip Talk is an initiative about learning individuals' journey, we have fabulous guests who are coming every week. So we would request you sincerely that if you're part of the particular WhatsApp groups, please don't leave us. Please stay there and stay tuned. And please like our Facebook and our Instagram pages. I told you, my name is Samrat, and it's my initiative where I'm going to be a host for the evening, for the next 1 hour. So if you really want to grab your coffee and your beer mugs or your tea mugs, please go ahead and get it right now because we're just going to be presenting our guest of the evening, the fabulous, the majestic, the fantastic demeanor personality, Mr. Jagmohan Bhanver. Sir, I think I have given enough introduction about myself and yours. It would be an honor. It's a pleasure to have you out here on this evening. So, if you can quickly say hi to the audience and give a quick introduction, whatever little I could give, I think that would be really something very nice to get started with.
Sure, Samrat. Firstly, thank you so much for happily destroying my Sunday and everybody else's Sunday out there. Just joking. It's so much of a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for calling me. And a warm welcome to all the people who've taken out time on Sunday to be here. Um, uh, I must admit, when I heard Glib Talk, there were a whole lot of ideas that were going on in my mind, and how a lot of people might be distorting this. um, but so happy to be here. I don't know. I mean, in terms of introduction, what you would want, I think you've already done a lot of that. I just want to say, if I had to describe myself, I would probably describe myself more as a dreamer, and I think that summarizes it. I like to dream. I love to come up with ideas, whether that's business ideas or ideas for books. Anything creative really gets me going, and I just like to be in touch with myself. those are two things which I think really define me. But I'm sure we'll figure out more as we progress.
Yes, absolutely. The first time after a very long time, rather, I was a little nervous giving your introduction. I normally don't fumble towards the end because I have so many things in my head that I thought I would be saying. But actually, when you get there right on the screen and you get to see yourself in the video and your guest and rest of the new faces who will have just joined in today, you actually feel little shaky, little nervous inside. But I think the way you actually made me comfortable yesterday when we have our prep call and the way you have actually come up right now, I think I'm going to be opening up right now and to be coming up with really good and interesting stuff to ensure this particular 1 hour that has been invested by everybody is not going to be going in vain. So as we said, there are a lot of things I probably skipped and I did not say. And uh, so as you rightly mentioned and given a very brief introduction about yourself, I would like to also tell everyone that the few things that I probably missed, that he is, and I wanted to keep it toward the later part because that's how the conversation is going to progress. He is the writer of 6 best-selling books. He's the author. His books have been translated in 6 different languages. Imagine. He is a CEO of his own 2 companies that he has established. He's been also interviewed many top journalists, publications, and he's been featured in Forbes too. Leaving his comfortable work life, being a true banker, has over decades of experience. He left his comfort zone because he had that entrepreneurial mindset in his mind because he wanted to find a company and starting with people first, and then the next milestone technologies, which is apparently going to be the next disruptive initiative taken by you in the education and the talent industry. We will talk and get to know more about those initiatives. But as Glip Talk, as you know, there's nothing serious about it. It's a Sunday evening conversation when you could be absolutely freeing your mind and investing this particular 1 hour to learn about somebody's journey. Well, sir, to start with, I know bits and pieces about you, about your childhood days, about kind of the struggles probably that you had to go through. And I don't want to get into it because a lot of them out there probably they know you personally or professionally. So somebody, in some way or the other, they all have that insights about you. But as the Glip Talk drill goes, and that's how we learn about somebody's journey, it is my sincere request that if you can let us know that where exactly you are from, which city you were born, your little about your school and your college lives, little touch base upon it, and then eventually progress with your professional journey.
Sure. So, Samrat, I come from a defense family. My father was in the army, and as most defense kids would probably, claim, we ended up traveling at a lot of places. I was fortunate to spend most of my childhood in a place called Dehradun, and I was there from the fifth standard to the 12th, and then of course even after I moved to college in Delhi and later on Chandigarh and so on, we used to keep coming back because Dad was serving in Doon. So Dehradun is really where we grew up, and those are mountains, right? So you cannot help but dream. And so that's where it started. And After I finished my graduation in English honors, I did my MBA in marketing and finance, and then I moved on to corporate life. And I don't think there's much to talk about there. I worked with a few banks, I worked with a few other companies. Life was good. But the real journey has really happened after the corporate life got over. I took a sabbatical in 2004. At that time, I was leading some initiatives for HSBC in India and outside of India. And I decided that while I liked banking, I didn't see myself as a banker all my life. And that certainly wasn't my purpose. And that's where I started asking myself, what is my life's purpose? And honestly, when you ask yourself these silly little questions, you come up with some really wise answers. And my answer was I wanted to spend more time with people. I wanted to make some kind of an impact,
Right,
right?
right,
Not to 100, 200 people, maybe one or two people,
sure.
small steps. And that's how people first came up. Uh, Started that business in India and Middle East. Hopefully, we made some impact there. I am most at ease when I am actually by myself, and I know that's a contradiction for somebody who left a job to be with people. But then life is a set of contradictions, right? So, so I love being with people, but every now and then I like to retreat and spend some time with myself. because I feel that if you are not in sync with yourself, um, you can be very lonely in the midst of people as well. So, so broadly, that's what it is. I think I started writing at a very young age, and probably credit goes to my folks because my parents used to have a lot of books at home. And I remember dad used to keep saying, "Yaar, kaun padhega ye kitabein padi hui hain," you know. So पढ़ लिया करते थे. And when you started getting into books, you realize there's so much of things happening there. So I started, I think, writing my first set of poems when I was 10, 11. And fortunately, they aren't around anymore. But that's where I started. I started writing for a few publications as well, whilst I was in school. And that just continued, um,
Yeah.
you know. So,
No, don't worry. We'll get to know more about it because I'm trying to invade and unravel certain things, which is going to be coming in the due course of the conversation. But for everyone's reference, just to let you all know that if you have any questions, if you directly want to ask any kind of questions to Mr. Jagmohan Bhanver, please go ahead and raise your hand towards the end because of the first 45 minutes, we would be talking and there would be a Glip Talk question round, which is going to be a series or a barrage of questions going to be in a repartee where he will have to answer those questions without even given time, which is hardly probably 5 to 10 seconds that he will get to think and then have to answer those questions. It is going to be something very, very little humorous, nothing very serious. So just to make sure that your evening is even better and the time that you've invested is worth. Well, English honors, and no wonder that you have that the mastery, the grip on the language has been so impeccable. And I trust me, and I have attended few of your webinars, few of your masterclasses. I've learned more about you, and trust me, I'm flawed over your English, the communication that you have, the skills apparently that you possess. I think they are stupendously admirable. And I really look up to you as an individual that, when I can probably learn certain things, the way you actually take that canter ahead when you're actually speaking to someone. Uh, is
Samrat, you're being overly kind. So, हो गया आज का कोटा हो गया.
No, it is nothing of that sort. I'm not trying to exaggerate. I'm not trying to be flattery out here. It's just being absolutely honest and candid because I have been very many guests who have come in my show. I have learned from each one of them something or the other. And this is one thing that I'm going to be learning. I'm sure the audience for the evening will also equally pick it up. Well, I gotten to know that, from one of your sessions, which we have actually revealed that when you were actually going through those medical problems during your childhood days, you kind of probably seen the world has probably come to an end or it is crashing down. You don't know what exactly that you had to do. But your mom was always there, or your parents, they always told you that, what, अगर school नहीं जाओगे, तो भी क्या होगा, अगर school जाके बैठोगे, तो कुछ तो सीख पाओगे, whatever. Just go there and see it. Uh, you there in your teenage that time when you did not have that kind of knowledge, or that's not what you have learned in your life, what probably you have learned over a period of time all these years. uh, you have gone through those certain tough situations. Did you actually listen to your parents that time because of which you dragged yourself to the school, learned, sat there, or was it equally your endeavor to that, ha, matlab jo ho gaya, now I have to move on and get started with my
But
life?
I was 8 years old actually at
Right.
that. It was pre-teens, and I guess the webinar you're referring to was probably the one that I did with the HR Association of India recently, where I was talking about that. And yes, I had a neurological challenge back there, and in those days it was quite dicey because to take a CT scan, you had to wait for a few months to be able to do that. There were barely any CT scan machines out there in the country. But I think I was really not the one bearing the brunt. Parents would have been bearing the brunt because ज़्यादा खबर तो होने रहती है.
True.
When you are 8 years old, you really don't know what's happening, and you're content that there are people who will take care of you. So you're quite safe that way. Um, to your question, was I listening to my parents? Not really. I think I've always been a bit of an ass that way. Must have been a tough kid to handle. I think I was very obstinate, very obstinate, and uh, certainly didn't listen too much to them. I do remember hearing some of the doctors telling them that I mean, even if he doesn't go to school, that's fine because um, it's better not to put too much pressure on the head and so on and so forth. Um, And I think at that time, if folks had listened to the docs, or if they had tried to be overtly protective, it might have actually destroyed. Uh, it might have destroyed my life. I'm fortunate that parents had a balance. They were able to listen to the doctors and also take their own decision and say that, okay, look, if you want to go to school, go. If you don't
Right.
want to go, that's fine. But even if you don't get anything, just go sit there, observe, see what's happening around you. I think I took that literally. Uh, uh, if I had to say one thing that I really do is observe, and that's what I really enjoy doing, observing people around me, at times observing myself as well. Um, so that's how it started. I would go to school. Half the time you were so drugged that you really didn't know what was happening around you, which was also good escape because parents wouldn't push you to do your homework, right? Like it happens with most kids. So it was a blessing in that sense. Um so was it tough? Yeah, I think it was tough. I think it was tougher for my parents, really.
Right.
Uh, you
Right.
know, um, um, uh, at that time, it was more of the physical issues, the headaches, and all of that, which were you know more painful. Um, Later on, when I went to college, and I remember I was trying out for the CAT examination, and I was fairly certain I'd crack it. Prep was good. I was coaching a lot of guys for it, and just before the CAT exams, I had an episode, and uh, uh, I was back on medication, and
Right.
it didn't happen. And I think that's perhaps one of two occasions in my life when I would have actually asked myself, "Oh, why did this have to happen to me?" I think that was the last time, really, uh, uh, because later on I was reading this article in the Reader's Digest, and it was talking about problems, concerns, and serious problems.
Right.
And I think when I compared myself to a lot of other people out there, I figured that what I had was a not that big a problem
Mm-hmm.
compared to what a lot of other people out there go through. So it just put things in perspective, and I think perspective is important.
True.
So, yeah. So was it tough? Yeah. Do I wish it hadn't happened? No. I think people people grow from whatever is thrown at them, and growth is important.
Right.
And growth cannot happen if you're lying on a bed of roses.
True.
You would need a few thorns coming up once in a while
Right.
to make you feel alive. So, yeah.
So how come the army factor did not play any role in your head? I mean, you went ahead, you could have easily pursued. I mean, you pursued your MBA, you prepared for your CAT exams. Your dad was in the army, and there was no influence of your father on you that I also want to probably go and see myself in Indian Army.
So I actually wanted to be a boxer, Samrat, and I wanted to be a professional boxer, and I I was coaching for it at a pretty early age, and I grew quite fast. I mean, I had reached full height when I was in the seventh grade, right? So you can imagine I was taller than most of the people around me,
Right.
um, uh, and I was a tough bloke. But boxing and the neuro problem that I had didn't go together. So my my parents obviously dissuaded me or wanted to dissuade me, and it worked. And I could see it from their point of view, not at that time, but as a parent myself, I can now see where they were coming from. The next career option for me was the forces. So I asked dad, I said, "Yeah, army mein jana hai." And he was like, "Beta, knowing you, you will be court-martialed within the first 1 week." I had a terrible temper in those days, absolutely terrible. And he was like, I don't think you're a right fit for. तूने मेरा OP की वो सब कर लिया था mentally. Occupational personality questionnaire, right? And he said this is not the right role for you. You should probably get into the corporate sector where tolerance levels are higher. So that's how it happened. I did take the SSB. In fact, I took my exams and then went in for an SSB. I didn't tell my folks for a long time that I'd gone in for the SSB.
Okay.
I got a rank. I think I might have told my mother many years later, but then I didn't really pursue that. So yeah.
So boxing, I mean, that's something probably I never heard in any of the forums that you've even talked about yourself, about your journey. So was Rocky Balboa was that you were a true fan, or you were just looking up to him? What inspired you to get into boxing? That's at such a young age.
In those days, it was actually Muhammad Ali, not Rocky
Already.
Balboa.
Yeah.
So Muhammad Ali, yes, and Rocky Marciano, and
Right.
all these guys. Um, uh, uh, I'd been knocking around people and getting knocked around as a kid. When you're going to all boys school and predominantly boys school, you're
Right.
bound to get knocked around. And I remember I was almost 6 feet tall when I was in the seventh grade, so people didn't really think you're a seventh grader.
Seventh grader.
You're
Yeah.
right. So they would treat you like an adult, and yeah, so there was no option but to toughen yourself. And I
Right.
realized I had a bit of a skill with the you know uh, pugilism there.
Knocked
So
them off the rings.
on and off, yes. So I was keen, but as I said, that wasn't meant to be, and I think I've made my peace with that. Yeah. So
Were you like this so unconventional right from the childhood days? I mean, you said that your dad declined you from joining army just because you had a very lower level of patience, because you used to lose your head just because you had that boxing thing कि कोई भी आएगा तो मैं उसको knock off कर दूंगा.
no, I think, Samrat, what happens is when you are a happy person,
Hmm.
the happiness shows not just outside; it's felt within.
Right.
When you have demons inside, and those demons could be because of anything. I guess in my case, it was probably because of health issues. I may not have verbalized those, they would have been suppressed. Suppression is usually not good.
Right.
Plus, there were certain social issues back in those days, um, and there was stuff happening, which certainly made me uh, feel that I was maybe a little different from some of the other kids. So there was a lot of anger inside, a lot of resentment inside. Not against my family, that was never the case. I loved my family, have always done, but against, I don't know, against whom. Uh, and now, of course, when I'm older, I realize that I just wasn't in tandem with myself, right? When you're not aligned with yourself, you will always be pissed off at something or someone. And that used to come out in my interactions with people,
Right.
uh, fighting and all of that. And I guess that's what my father might have picked on and said, "Beta tum rehne do, tumse nahi ho payega." you know. So and yeah, I think he was right.
Have you seen that kind of a transformation over the years as you have learned, as you have grown? That I think that's not what you are. I mean, I'm finding it. It's the total dichotomy for me to even relate that when you were saying that bachpan mein main aisa tha, and I was probably not so patient as a child because of whatsoever reasons. Let's understand that that was meant to happen, destiny. It happened, but it has kind of given certain sort of resentment that you said that it was there in your head, and you wanted to just probably didn't work in a very conducive manner. But how did you overcome those challenges because of the lessons that you've learned in your life, or certain anything specific that you would like to talk about?
I think there are only two occasions when you really learn something, right? And actually, it's wrong of me to say only two. I think for me there were only two ways. One was being told, being guided,
Being guided.
and I wasn't very good at being guided as a young adult. Hopefully, I'm better now, right? Um, the other is when you look within. Now, normally people don't look within. Yeah, I mean, which 17-year-old is gonna look within, right? I mean, that's absolute bollocks. You want to enjoy life. You want to look outside, right? There's so many things to focus on. In my case, because of my conditioning, I guess, I was compelled to look within, and
Mm.
because I was compelled to look within, I was able to recognize some of the trauma,
Right.
uh, uh, and I was able to try and make sense of it. So, for instance, for me, the biggest learning then and now has been to observe what's happening to me. So,
Mm.
if something is not going well, let's say I fail at something and I keep doing that, uh, what am I feeling about it, right? How do I feel about myself in that situation?
Right.
How do I feel about others in that situation? What do I think I could have done differently? What will I do differently in the
Right.
future?
Right.
So it's that entire process of observation. I think it just compels you to kind of not focus on what's going wrong,
Mm.
but to focus on yourself.
On yourself. True. True.
And uh, so for me, that's really been the big learning.
So you didn't. You said that you probably were not meant to be a banker but you worked with most of the renowned banks in the country and in the world, be it HSBC, be it HDFC, be it Standard Chartered, and you held leadership, big positions yourself. When did you realize at that vantage point, probably in your life, that और नहीं मुझे और banking में नहीं रहना है. I don't want to be a banker anymore. But when you went to banking, you had that thought process that I want to be a banker, right? Or is it just happened you went to a bank because you did your MBA?
No, I started my career with Balarpur Industries. And whilst there, I decided I wanted to be a banker for all the wrong reasons, because bankers made most of the money.
Okay.
So all my colleagues who were in foreign banks were making 3 times what we were making.
Okay.
And at that time, money was very important. So I said, banking mein jana. So when I spoke to my seniors and I said, bhai, banking mein kaise jayenge? They said, you need certain kind of experience. So that's where my next shift happened, Canon. So
Right.
it was a very calculated move to get me into banking. And honestly, the first bank I was with, I enjoyed tremendously. Learning, experience, everything was there. But by the time I moved to the second and then the third bank, I said, Maza aa raha hai. But do I see myself growing old being a banker? That really wasn't the case. And your life बहुत लंबी है. So मुझे लगता है, I feel that you should do what, when you wake up in the morning every day, you should feel really excited about it.
Sure.
आज मैं ऑफिस जा रहा हूँ.
Uh-huh.
Not because घर में problem है, but because I want to go to office, right? So वो feeling I think आनी बंद हो गई थी कुछ time के बाद बैंक में. It had started appearing to be a chore.
Hmm.
But it's been 17 years since I left banking. I've been on my own, and every day is exciting. So I think that's really what propelled me. And वो purpose मिलना बहुत जरूरी है ना.
Sure.
So what's your purpose? I think I found my purpose, and the moment I found that, I left banking and I decided I wanted to spend the rest of my time working on that. So
Is it just because you could take the decision because you have earned enough money and you have given it a thought that पैसा तो भी बहुत कमा लिया है, and I want to pursue my purpose in my life, my passion, which is coaching, which is interacting with people, and whatever your endeavor is. So, was
Samaya,
it
that's
very
an interest,
cognizant and a calculative decision, or was it just like one fine day you realize, no?
that's an interesting question. Because now if I think, if I had actually thought about what my purpose was before I left HSBC,
Right.
I, 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 I shit you not, to borrow your phrase from yesterday,
Right.
uh, I would have left it as a management training. Why invest so many years doing something which is not part of your purpose,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
It's like saying, okay, here is a person that you want to spend time with. But if you find that this is not the person that you want to spend all your life with,
Right.
then there is something wrong, right? It's the same with a job. I think I would have, money or no money, I would have left my job the moment I had figured out my purpose. I just didn't think about it.
Right. So, did you ever encounter a situation when you actually went on your entrepreneurial journey? Uh, did it even strike you even once that, "Galti kar liya, I think I should go back to the corporate and have my comfortable life."
Within 1.5 years of leaving the bank, I had done the miraculous achievement, made the miraculous achievement of losing all the money I had ever earned and my wife had earned. Uh, uh, दोनों के पैसे खत्म कर दिए.
Oh my.
And not just ours. There were a couple of trusting friends who had also invested. Their money also went down the drain. And around that time, I remember one of these banks they had the role for head of human resources for the Asia Pac region.
Hmm.
And it was a plum role, and offered me the chance to get back into the
Banking.
mainstream. Uh, I did think about it for 2 to 3 days, but then I discussed with my wife as well, Komal, and if I remember, I think she said you should do what you really want to do and not focus on it because of the money. So well, right or wrong, that was it. उसके बाद नहीं है, उसके बाद नहीं. And it's not to say we haven't screwed up after that. We've screwed up multiple times.
Obviously.
But I never thought about getting back to corporate life ever after that.
So, what is your biggest successful failure in your life? It's a very contrastful question. Is that what we'll refer that that was the biggest successful failure in my life, that I shared away all my money and my wife's money? And
ये NASA type है. But uh, I think for me, there were two or three.
right,
Uh, so somewhere along the way, around 2008-9, I had founded an education company, and we were fortunate to get hugely funded. It was a great team. The timing was right. Everything was fine. But for certain reasons, we were not able to achieve what we had set out to achieve. And one can ascribe various reasons. We
sure,
were doing our best. We were doing better than market. The markets crashed for B school education. All of that stuff happened. At the end of the day, if you are the CEO, you are the CEO. You take the blame.
sure,
I was the CEO. So honestly, it doesn't matter what is happening in the external environment. I think I screwed up. Uh, for me, the reason it was a big success was it was such a mammoth failure that from a place where you're thinking you're going to exit uh, with a IPO, which is going to
true,
set your family for the next 7 generations,
true,
you suddenly realize that you have got completely bankrupted.
true.
For me, it was hugely successful because there were so many things I realized that I had messed up personally, professionally, and so many takeaways that I could actually extract from there. Very stressful time. I'm not going to tell you that
Yeah,
ha ye hua agle din mein utha and I was like singing
true,
ballads, right? No, I think it had me down for a couple of months. Um, Sometimes just thinking about it gives me the shivers. Uh, but that was success. Uh, I didn't make the same mistakes when I set up my latest venture,
right,
and I think that's helped us, not go down even after all that's been happening. So I think it was successful. It made me a better person, made me a more sentient being. I think I relate to people better now.
right.
I might have been arrogant, I believe, earlier.
Mhm.
और नहीं भी होता हूँ तो मेरे तो चेहरे पे लिखा रहता है, right? But I think I'm a better person and a better professional, hopefully, after that. So for me, that's a success.
So, do you believe, or do you somehow, at the back of your head, do you think that arrogance has killed you in many ways in your life, being professionally, personally?
Um, Personally, no, because the guys who know me know that I look arrogant. I'm not. Uh, and I look arrogant because I'm highly introverted.
You
Uh,
don't you look reserved. I would not say you look arrogant, but it's just your stature, the way you are. It depends on people how they want to read you. But I'm just saying, since you had a self-realization yourself, and you said that I was impatient as a kid or during my younger days in my life, there was some sort of an arrogance, probably. That is, I could figure out from the comprehension of the conversation. So, do you think that has also been a reason for such mess ups that has happened professionally?
no, unfortunately, I can't blame it on that. I can just blame it on my stupidity.
Okay.
um, 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 Arrogance for me during my education
Hmm.
venture was that I was arrogant enough to believe that I could do something on my own terms without heeding the market reality.
Right.
So that's what I meant when I said arrogance. Uh, if you are in business, you need to respect what the market is telling you.
True.
I don't think I did that.
Okay.
Uh, and that arrogance cost people money. It's a different thing. I spent the next 3 years of my life paying back that money to a lot of people, but it did cost people a lot of money. And that's an arrogance I have never done and I'm never going to do again. With people, I've actually never been arrogant. I might have been impatient.
Right.
I still get impatient.
Still get impatient.
I need to consciously tell myself that I'm getting impatient. But the good thing is for me, the little success is that now I know when I'm getting impatient. पहले पता ही नहीं चलता था, सम्राट.
Okay. Right.
You know, अब पता चल जाता है.
That's it.
So, but yeah, and yes, I am reserved. I am private. I'm a very private person.
Right.
So you won't find me on social media
Much
at
at
all.
all. Very rarely.
Yeah.
Very
Um,
rarely.
and I think this is probably one of the first forums where I'm actually talking about my personal life.
So candidly.
Yeah. So
Brilliant, brilliant. Now, coming back to your writing skills, the best selling author of six books, Ek Nahi, Che. Uh, where did you, I mean, how did you get inspired writing books? I know you told me a little while ago that you started writing at a very early age in your life. Uh, but your next books, which is on Satya Nadella, which is on Sundar Pichai, these books have come much later, right? Which is in morals in today's generation. What was the inspiration and what made you write those books? And if you can let us know more about writing as your
I
passion.
think I think it was an inspiration. It was refuge.
Okay.
Uh, uh, आप जब किसी चीज से डरते हैं तो आप वहां जाते हैं जहां आपको लगता है शेल्टर होगा, राइट? अगर आप सोशल नहीं हैं तो आप फैंटेसी लैंड में चले जाते हैं. फॉर मी, बिकॉज I didn't feel comfortable around other children for a long time because of various issues.
Right.
For me, I had to develop my own fantasy world, which I could get into. So there, I could be a business tycoon. I could be anything that I wanted, right?
Yeah.
And that's how the fascination for story started. And fiction is always what excited me. So I never wanted to be a nonfiction writer. It's ironical that out of my six books, five are nonfiction.
True.
But fiction is what I wanted to do. Pehli kitab was never meant for publication. It was actually a very personal part of me. It was more of my diary. And publishers saw it, they published it, and that's how it came out. I took out a lot of stuff from that before it went public. Um, the second book was more on the psychology of investors and how people make decisions.
Right.
People like you and I, so that's where it happened.
Right.
Then I started work on Krishna. With a name like Jagmohan and having spent most of your life in Uttar Pradesh, you can understand some of the jokes that might have been happening out there. And Krishna was always one of those um, fascinating,
Right.
fascinating, I don't want to say God, fascinating individuals who always intrigued me. And I wanted to do a very different kind of book on Krishna. अगर आप महाभारत देखते हैं, Mahabharata is not the story of Krishna the way we've seen it.
Right.
So there's Pandavas, there are the Kauravas. Krishna के बारे में उतना ज़्यादा नहीं है. I wanted something to be totally dedicated to him. So मैंने फिर research करना शुरू किया. By the time that research was happening, Hatchet, which is one of my publishers, came to me to write the book on Nadella, Pichai, and then there was this book on the e-commerce sector, Click, which I co-authored with Komal, my wife.
Right.
So non-fictions तो ऐसे हुए थे. Fiction was the true love, where I said, हाँ इसको हम अच्छी तरह लिखेंगे. It took me 8 years to prepare that book.
Yes. My God.
More than 8, I think almost 9 or 10. It's a trilogy. The first volume was published by Rupa. It's called The Curse of Brahma.
Right.
This happened about 4 years ago, and I'm scared mentioning this because publishers and readers don't know. Whenever I go on social media, readers से तो वो threatening messages आ जाते हैं, publishers से mail आ जाते हैं. But the second volume, which is Rise of the Yadavs, will be released next year. And then we have the Drums of Dwarka, which will happen after that.
After that. Okay.
But उसके अलावा there is a whole lot of projects which are out there, which are
Okay, I'm not going to be invading too much into it, but my question is, out of all the six books that you've written, what is the best creation, barring the fiction?
The Curse of Brahma.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, Click.
Click.
We spent 2.5 years interviewing more than 250 odd people, entrepreneurs and various other people. Usme se to select which were the companies we wanted to put,
Right.
and then analyze all of those other companies, and then interactions with so many wonderful people, high achievers, learning, and the fun of writing. So उसमें मजा आया काफी.
Good, good. So if you're actually seeing it right now, if you have done some sort of research, or if you've read the posters and the flyers, you must have seen that those books are also equally been converted into audiobooks, and they are available on Amazon and the rest of the other e-commerce platforms. If you really want to buy it, please go ahead and buy it for yourself. Well, coming to your personal life a little, considering the best interest of time, it's already 5:41, and we have our Glip Talk question round, which is also going to be coming your way very soon, and we will have the audience asking you questions directly. So, audience, if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or put your question in the chat box. I would be more than happy to ask those questions on your behalf, or you can raise your hand. You can ask your questions directly to Jagmohan by raising your hand, where I will unmute you. Well, uh, all my conversations with you so far in the last 1 week or so, I have always heard you talking about uh, the blessing that you have. I think two of your children, beautiful children, and you have your better half, Komal. We always talk about them. That shows that, as a person, as a man, with all his responsibilities and how close you are to your family. If you can let us know a little bit about how did you meet her and when did you meet her, and how did this happen of you both getting into a matrimony? Was it a love marriage? Was it an arranged marriage? Were there any kind of difficulties? Did you face any kind of challenges, etc.? Just try to invade in your personal side of yours, since we've spoken about more about your professional journey and books and etc.
It was a love marriage. अब
Okay.
बाकी story तो चाय पे आ जा, मैं तेरे को बता दूँ. I told you I'm a private person.
Right, right.
uh, no, there weren't too many challenges out there.
Okay.
My family comes from a defense background. Hers comes from a defense background. Wonderful people on both sides. So yeah,
It was
so
never a problem.
yeah.
Okay.
बाकी intricate details तेरे को मिलने वाली नहीं है. You know.
I'm not.
So
I'm not. I'm not. I'm just trying to find out, somebody who is so reserved, somebody who is so private. The person can be equally so romantic to fall in love with somebody and then get married, pursuing into matrimony. That it थोड़ा अजीब लगता है ऐसा, मतलब कभी कभी लगता है ना कि मतलब
नहीं, मैं पोएट भी हूँ, मैं पोएट्री भी करता हूँ.
अभी पता
So,
चला, धीरे धीरे पता चल रहा है. So, okay. Now, coming to it's 5:43, I'm just going to be asking certain questions very randomly. Okay. आपके बारे में तो जानना, I think it will take another 2 to 3 hours to actually know your entire journey so far, and we really don't have that kind of a time. But that's between you and me. Well, I'll keep bothering you, keep asking you questions if anything that I have. But before we get into GTQ, I just want to know about your two ventures professionally. One is People First, and one is the next milestone technologies, which is an edutech that you are actually building in, and you have given some insight in some forums. But one side is coaching and OD firms, and you being South Asia's one of the first master coaches, coaching CXOs and executive board members and top-notch leaders in the world. That's one. I think that's where People First comes into the picture. The next disrupting or disruptive initiative that you've taken in the talent industry, in the education industry, because of which you've been awarded. You have gotten 3 awards, which is very, very distinguished. One is Rajiv Gandhi Excellence Award, one is Rajiv Gandhi Shiromani Award, and one is Bharati Shiksha Award. Right? So these are most very prestigious awards for somebody to get even distinguished by. Because of your noble contribution towards the society. So, why don't you let us know about two of these of your professional ventures in a nutshell, probably.
uh, since it's a Sunday, I don't want to bore the hell out of people.
Just
So I'll
feel
keep
like
it
bird's
very.
eye view.
People First, we got coaching to India.
Right.
In those days, Samrat, when we started executive coaching, I'm talking about 2004. The people that we intended coaching for were people who thought that they didn't really need coaching. A lot of them. It took us a couple of years, along with help of many other stalwarts, and I actually see one of those stalwarts out there, somebody who makes me look like a dwarf, also present there, and so it wasn't just us. There were various other stalwarts. But coaching always was and remains a big thing for us.
Right.
I have personally had the privilege of coaching board members, CEOs across the continent, and my team also has done a lot of that. Apart from that, we do a lot of leadership interventions. The difference is we do bespoke interventions, so we don't do off-the-shelf stuff. We build it for clients and then do it. People First is an established firm, business, clientele. What I'm into now is an edutech venture, which is the next milestone technologies. When we started off, it was intended as a social enterprise. हमने सोचा नहीं था कि हम इसको as a business करेंगे. Uh, there were people who were not employable in the country. We wanted to make a difference. So we came up with a technology platform which could help people identify their gaps and then fix those gaps. As this progressed, and then people like NSDC joined us, we became preferred partners for National Skills Development Corporation and so on in a couple of our business ventures. We decided that okay, if we have to take it up to a certain level, we will need to monetize it. So what we really do, and in a nutshell, is we have an LMS platform, which is I think the first AI-driven, AI-enabled LMS LXP in the world. In short, it means you can have a lot of fun if you use that learning platform. The other thing which excites me more is where we have tied up with subject matter experts around the world, and with universities around the world, and we are running programs, executive programs online for people, right? So, for instance, there is this program that we are just launching next week. It's called the People Analytics Program for Managers. It's the first program for managers, literally speaking. Otherwise, people analytics programs are very technical. This has been built as a techno-commercial program. We have the number one thought leader in the world in human resources, and another, uh, thought leader who's actually made ripples around the world. In fact, one of these gentlemen is here on this platform. So we have those people who are there as co-faculties. We have another person who has tremendous experience around the globe. So we work with people who are stalwarts. So it's like if you're doing something in human resources, you would have someone like a Dr. Rao or a Dave Ulrich being a part of those kind of programs. If you're doing something around, let's say, business analytics, you'll have a Wayne Brockbank there, you'll have a Franz Gilbert there. Those are programs, and these are programs that we have certified with some of the top accrediting bodies around the world. So, like our People HR Analytics program is certified, by two of the most renowned bodies globally. So, broadly, that's what we do.
Okay. So, but in today's world, if you take the startups, the edutech startups, right, there are certain brands who are actually providing, online, what do you call, the degrees and the master degrees, master's degrees. Like if I have to, I don't want to name them specifically, you know it better than me. One is in Mumbai based, which is actually tearing the world apart in a many way in terms of the way they are going full throttle and trying to penetrate in the market. But I think what I understand from your venture or your initiative is completely little different from the conventional edutech uh, companies, which is coming up as startups, right?
So, we are not focused on K-12. We are focused on online higher education and online skilling.
Scaling, okay.
Our vision is to upskill and reskill people,
Okay.
and to make India more employable. And once we've done that, to move to other parts of the world. In a nutshell, that's what we are all about.
So it's purely into the artificial intelligence and the machine world, machine learning and the robotics of the world, which is all self-driven. So great. I mean, I think, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
more AI and ML actually that we are using in our uh, uh, platform. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, with the best interest of time, we have another 10 more minutes, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any question, please feel free to raise your hand. As I mentioned in the chat box, I would be more than happy to unmute you so that you can go ahead and ask your question directly to Jagmohan, or you can put your question there. I will be more than happy to unmute you and ask the question on your behalf. Well, the 10 more minutes that we have, we will take another 5 minutes, which is the fun round comes in the conversation. We have had many serious conversations. I don't know to what extent I could make you feel comfortable asking certain questions. So कहा सुना माफ कर देना सर ऐसा कोई गलती को जानबूझ के नहीं किया था because अगर हो गया है तो these are all impromptu. As you know, there was no question that was being sent to you earlier. There is nothing that is designed beforehand. So
वो बॉक्सिंग थी ना तेरे साथ प्रैक्टिस करनी so
okay,
uh,
here comes the GTQ section, the Glib Talk questions, where I'm going to be asking certain questions, which I also don't know what I'm going to ask, but I will try my level best to ask certain questions where you can't take more than 5 to 10 seconds before you have to answer these questions. Very funny questions. There is no right or wrong answers. Just want to see that, uh, the serious man, the private man, uh, the man with that personality and the stature. With we actually think we need to find and talk to him. I'm trying to see and unravel the other side of yours. Probably, I will try my level best. So the very first question is going to be coming in your way. Uh, you are a writer, you're a poet, as you also mentioned that. I'm sure आपका जो बॉलीवुड का नॉलेज होगा वो भी काफी अच्छा खासा होगा because you are based in the city of the cinema,
बहुत
the
बहुत
land.
बहुत बहुत गंदा है, बहुत गंदा है.
बहुत गंदा है बट उससे कोई ज्यादा नहीं है बट ये थोड़ा दो मैं आपको कुछ लाइनें आपको मैं बोलूंगा आई विल रिक्वेस्ट यू टू डू समथिंग विद दिस लाइंस so the very first one comes that there's a Hindi song. There are two Hindi songs I'm going to give you, and you have to translate them in English because you are a bachelor in English and you speak impeccable English, and your knowledge in English as language is phenomenal.
आपको क्यों असेसमेंट कर रहा है यार?
नहीं, नहीं, नहीं. It is a fun round.
पास पास skip.
पास नहीं पास नहीं हो सकता सर. छोटा सा है बट कोशिश करके देखते हैं. जैसे ये गाना है ना, चौदहवीं का चाँद हो या आफताब हो, जो भी हो तुम लाजवाब. इसको इंग्लिश में अगर ट्रांसलेट करना होगा तो सर कैसे मतलब होगा?
चौदहवीं का चांद हो तुम या
आफताब हो,
okay.
जो
और
भी
उसके
हो तुम लाजवाब हो.
बाद whether you're the glimmering sun or you know the moon faced night, whatever you might be, you're simply out of the world.
That's a nice try. I could not think of those words because I was trying to learn it from you. But I've gotten some insight how to say that probably next time. The second song is आए हो मेरे जिंदगी में तुम बहार बनके, मेरे दिल में यूं ही रहना तुम प्यार प्यार बनके.
Yeah,
इसका
it's a more technical question.
it's just not. It's very very simple and easy sir. मतलब एकदम.
आई हो तुम मेरी,
आए हो तुम मेरी जिंदगी में तुम बहार बनके, मेरे दिल में यूं ही रहना तुम प्यार प्यार बनके. The famous song from Raja Hindustani, Amir Khan साहब की.
अच्छा. So you ventured into my life.
आपको क्या लगता है हम आपको छोड़ देंगे, ऐसे ही छोड़ देंगे?
शेक्सपियर में बताऊं?
हाँ, ठीक है, चलेगा.
Thou ventured into my life. You know, like the tsunami from Thailand. And now stay there like the whisperings of the rustling brook outside. So,
Fantastic. That was, and the Oscar goes to, rather, sorry, the Grammy goes to you for this, for transliteration of such a beautiful song. Great. Now the third question is, there's one thing that you have to tell me. What is that is greater than God? What is that that is more evil than a devil? What is that the rich people, they want it? And what is that the poor people have it all? And if you eat it, you will die.
nothing.
Fantastic. Fantastic. That's the answer. Nothing is greater than God. No evil is bigger than a devil. Nothing is more evil than a devil. And the rich are so rich, they don't want nothing. Poor have nothing. And if you eat nothing, you will die. So, brilliant answer. Here comes the CEO giving the answers. Very, very impromptu. The next question is, imagine you are in a room where it doesn't have any door or any kind of a window, but the room is filling fast with water. How would you get out?
I'm sorry. That was scary. So I'm in a room.
Imagine you are
Right.
in a room, the water is filling fast in that room. There is no window, there is no door. How would you have to, how would you get out if you have to survive?
Roof तो है ना? मतलब
The room is like total room. It's a closed, I mean, just a room. There's no door. I mean, you have a roof, you have ceiling, you have floor, you have window, you have a door. I mean, no door, no window, nothing. Imagine that you are in that room. If you have to survive,
I would stop imagining.
क्या बात है. मैंने आपको ये सवाल पहले तो भेजे नहीं थे. आपको ये आंसर्स कैसे पता है? Just
सही
keeps my
answer?
mind. Very nice answer, and you get a round of applause for this.
All right.
Brilliant. You have to stop imagining, because if you stop imagining, then only you would be able to survive, to get out of the room. What is that 5-letter word that if you add 2 more letters towards the end of the word, it becomes shorter?
What is the 5-letter word?
What is the 5-letter word that if you add 2 more letters towards the end of the word, it becomes shorter?
I would like to take help from the audience here.
Well, this is no KBC. You can't phone a friend. You have no choice, no option. You can't take audience help also.
Yeah, मैं short ही बोलने वाला था.
You got a prompt from there. I mean, very very bad.
ये तो family से सहायता आ गई.
Sahad.
I must confess, I was about to say short, but yes, I got help out here. So, am I disqualified? Can we end this now?
Yes, because we have just another 3 to 4 minutes to end this conversation. And before that, we have certain people. But thank you so much for being such a sport. आपने बहुत जल्दी गुस्से में आ जाते हो सर. It's a Sunday conversation.
मैं तेरे को बताऊंगा कितना गुस्से में आता हूँ.
Okay, we have a lot of people who all are commenting, but thank you so much for being such a sport and giving those answers. Lovely. Especially the transliteration, I think you were phenomenal. I would see the recording myself even to understand what you have said. So I kind of passed it through for now. Well, we have Nilesh, we have Sandeep already answered it for you. Jayatri has also mentioned people are all there. So Jayatri or Nilesh, Nilesh, would you like to ask your questions directly? I can unmute you. Just give me 1 minute. I'm going to be unmuting you, Nilesh. You can ask your question directly to Jagmohan. Please go ahead and ask your question. I have requested to unmute. Nilesh, can you? Yes, there you are. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Nilesh.
Hi, I'm Nilesh Khalade.
I remember the name, Nilesh.
I'm from Piaggio.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I am from Piaggio company.
Baramati से हैं या?
We had met in... Yes, Baramati.
Yeah, I remember you.
Yes, we had met at a Piaggio training program in Lonavala.
Yes, मुझे याद है Nilesh.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Yes, sir. Fine, sir. That time, sir, वो discuss हुआ था कि about the Nathuram Godse's life.
जी.
हाँ, तो आप उसके ऊपर ये एनालिसिस कर रहे थे. तो क्वेश्चन मेरा है कि अगर वो कंप्लीट हुआ है आपका एनालिसिस उसके बारे में, वो तो यस सर, तो फाइनल डिसीजन वो नथुराम गोडसे ने क्यों लिया कि महात्मा गांधी के लिए शूट आउट करने के लिए?
नीलेश, काफी उम्दा क्वेश्चन है. एंड आई एम श्योर ये प्रश्न जो है लगभग कुछ हजार लोग तो एटलीस्ट इस पे विचार विमर्श कर रहे होंगे. मेरा अपना एनालिसिस जो है थोड़ा कंट्रोवर्शियल भी है. तो हम एक काम करते हैं, क्योंकि ये सम्राट जो हैं ये बहुत अपसेट हो जाते हैं अगर इनको हम पॉलिटिसाइज कर दें इनके प्लेटफॉर्म को. बट आपके पास मेरा नंबर तो है या नहीं?
यस सर.
हाँ, तो आप मुझे बिंदास कल फोन कीजिए और हम आराम से चाय पे चर्चा करेंगे.
यस सर, डेफिनेटली.
है ना? But a very nice question, and I remember we were talking about that because that time I was doing polling for that book. Gandhi Must Die, I think, was the title.
Yes, sir.
वो किताब अभी publishers के पास पड़ी हुई है. It's next on the anvil after 2 more. But let's talk tomorrow, and I would love to answer this question. काफी कारण थे, एक कारण नहीं था, काफी कारण थे. But we'll talk about it.
Thank you, Nilesh. Thank you so much for your question. But as Jagmohan sir rightly said, that this is not a forum to be talking anything politicized, anything controversial, anything that is biased or anything for that matter. So I appreciate your question. You have his number, or you can just directly get in touch with him to get your question answered.
Okay, thank you.
But thank you so much for coming and joining us for this particular 1 hour. Next is Sanjay. Sanjay, I have unmuted you. Please go ahead and ask your question directly.
हाय, मेरा ये क्वेश्चन है जो इन्होंने आंसर दिया है कि अगर रूम में पानी भर रहा हो वो हम ढंग से सुन नहीं सके, तो वो अपना आंसर आप हिंदी में बता दें.
तो नमस्कार.
अगर रूम में पानी भर रहा हो तो कैसे बचेंगे?
सम्राट का जो प्रश्न था संजय, वो ये था कि आप इमेजिन कीजिए, आप सोचिए कि आप एक कमरे में हैं, पानी भरा हुआ है, ना खिड़कियां हैं ना दरवाजे हैं, और भरता जा रहा है पानी. आप कैसे बचेंगे, कैसे संभालेंगे? तो क्योंकि इनने कहा था कि आप सोचिए, तो मैंने कहा था कि मैं सोचना बंद कर दूंगा. ये पीजे था इनका. उनका पीजे का जवाब मैंने उसी प्रकार से दिया.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sanjay.
Great. So great. I think we are just at the right nick of time. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go ahead and say goodbye to each other, but I would not leave Jagmohan sir without saying his parting note to the audience and few good words about Glib Talk as an initiative. पहले से कह देता हूँ सर, बाद में आपको फोन करके क्षमा मांग लूंगा, but अभी आप मुझे यहाँ पे डांटिए मत. But please, if you can say some certain good wishes and good words about Glib Talk as an initiative, I would be more than happy, and you will be making my leave.
You know, सम्राट, मेरे जो फेवरेट पोएट रहे हैं गालिब रहे हैं. तो गालिब का कुछ याद आ रहा है मुझे आपके लिए.
Sure.
खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना, खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है. तो आपको क्या बताना है ना? यू आर अ वंडरफुल पर्सन, यू हैव अ वंडरफुल शो. आपसे 2-3 बार जो मुलाकात हुई है ऑनलाइन, गजब की हुई है, बहुत मज़ा आया है. इतना तो मैं काफ़ी टाइम में हंसा नहीं होऊंगा. हाँ, तो I think what you're doing is so wonderful because you connect people together, and really nothing better than that. Huge future for GLIBTALK, and you yourself are such an amazing personality. I'm sure you'll go places.
Thank you. So I will have to take one last question because Jayatri has just raised her hand right now, realizing that it's getting late. So Jayatri, I've already unmuted you. I'm sorry. Please ask your question very quickly to Jagmohan sir so that he can answer the question.
Hi, Jagmohan. This is Jayatri, and I'm seeing you after ages. We've been
Jayatri,
classmates.
yes, of course.
Hi, how are you? Good. And I just wanted to ask you one question, like, what made you more happy, writing a fiction or a non-fiction?
Fiction. सबसे ज़्यादा खुशी पोएट्री, उसके बाद फिक्शन, उसके बाद नॉन फिक्शन.
Fine. I would just like to read one non-fiction of yours.
बिल्कुल.
One, sir.
I think you might want to start with Click. That's a really interesting one. Otherwise, Pichai, the future of Google, is again a very interesting one. It talks about various aspects of Sundar's life, Sundar Pichai's life, and also about a lot of stuff that's been happening at Google. I think those would be good non-fictions to read. Thoda philosophical side mein jana hai to Get Happy Now is a good one.
Yeah, I want a philosophical one.
हाँ, तो फिर Get Happy Now बेहतर रहेगी.
ठीक है.
So read Get Happy Now and be always happy forever, Jayatri.
Thank you so much. Nice session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Jayatri, for asking a question. And sir, the last thing, a message to the audience. Thank you so much for the kind words that you've said about you made my evening. I think that's what gets me going with GLIBTALK as an initiative. But if you would like to just say a parting message to the audience.
Just two things for the audience. One, thank you so much for being here. I think the biggest gift we can give each other is the gift of time. And you were able to take out time on a Sunday. That's what makes the show and me special, nothing else. The other message is क्योंकि आजकल गम काफी हैं आसपास, गालिब का एक और मुझे कुछ याद आ रहा है. गुजर जाएगा ये दौर भी, गुजर जाएगा ये दौर भी गालिब, इत्मीनान रखो जब खुशी नहीं ठहरी तो गम की क्या औकात है. So just wish all the best for you. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you, Samrat, for calling me.
Thank you so much. I mean, sir, what an end. Wow. जब खुशियां नहीं रही तो गम की क्या औकात. Very nice. And this shall too pass. So with this, my sincere request once again, Jagmohan sir, please stay in the WhatsApp group. You're one of the admins. I would really request if you don't leave the group, and to the audience also, whoever is part of this WhatsApp initiative, please be there. We have wonderful guests coming up every Sunday from 5 to 6. And during this tough time, please take care of yourself, about your family. Don't go out anywhere unless there is a dire need, and stay safe and stay home. Sir, once again, thank you so much for taking this time out for this 1 hour. It was indeed a pleasure to know you. I really wish I had 1 more hour to know more about you as a journey about your life. But since we're connected, I would definitely keep bothering you as and when. And I hope you would definitely be there.
Thank you so much, Samrat. It's been a pleasure, and everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. Have a good Sunday. Have a wonderful evening ahead. Take care. Bye-bye, sir.